Despite what you think, Gerald, the anti-Semitism, I assure you, is all on the Israeli side. I am simply reacting to what the Israeli state has conjured up in the name of Judaism as it carries out the worst crime against humanity, a live-streamed genocide for us in the name of Judaism, it says, as it brags about being the one and the only Jewish state. And I am the one, the anti-Semitic one, for pointing this out and for parodying these insane psychopaths who want to claim that they have some sort of supremacy over people, over everyone because they are Jewish. I think you are sniffing your farts right now, and it probably feels really good for you to be like a contrarian. How contrarian are you to say that I should be the anti-Semitic one when, like, Exhibit A, I'm using anti-Semitic tropes. Sure. Like what? The fact that they wear tiny hats? What is the anti-Semitic tropes in the room with us right now? I think it's pretty anti-Semitic to go and, I don't know, slaughter hundreds of thousands of children and women and say we're doing it because we're Jewish. I don't know, they call me crazy, but that just sounds like pretty anti-Semitic. To equate the worst and most depraved acts in human history with Judaism that is eclipsed by my engagement with quote-unquote anti-Semitic tropes, or so you say. Look at the f***ing Israeli flag. How anti-Semitic is the Israeli flag? Seems like that would make the Jews around the world unsafe to me. Thank you. There's one anti-Semitic force in the world today, and it's the Israeli state, and it is the absolute #1 culprit for the rise in what you call quote-unquote anti-Semitism. Exactly. The Israeli flag is PTSD trigger. I will never look at that symbol and not think Nazi shit now. That's pretty anti-Semitic for the Israeli state to do, if you ask me. Far worse than what is capable by any one person. And to make fun of them because they think of themselves as Jewish supremacists. It's like saying, like, if I'm making fun of a Nazi, I must be making fun. You're gauging in some anti-Aryan tropes. Okay, you're engaging in, like, do you just hate the Germans? I mean, you're basically doing Zionist propaganda for them because you're making this once again about the religion. There's only one entity, in other words, that is making this about religion. And people that try to make it about religion are anti-Semitic. You know, they're trying to conflate Judaism with genocide, Judaism with ethnic cleansing, with race superiority. These are all deeply anti-Semitic and contribute to the rise of anti-Semitism. But we don't live in an anti-Semitic world. We live in an Islamophobic world. And I do believe that anti-Semitism is overrepresented in our society. This idea that anti-Semitism is some global conspiratorial force is just complete nonsense. And it lies with the Israeli state. And we, as satirists, can satirize the Israeli state, and we can satirize Nazis, and we can satirize slave owners, and not confusing them with Germans, or Jewish people, or white people, or black people, whatever. It's really not that complicated to separate the Zionist supremacy from Judaism. It really is not. Just in the same way that we understand that Nazism was a political national ideology, fascist ideology, that gave Germans supremacy, Aryan supremacy. It was based on this idea, this ideological justification for the worst crimes against humanity was based on ethnic superiority. So we can make fun of that, and we can make fun of how the aesthetic of that. We can make fun of the fact that we can satirize them. We can parody them because they deserve ridicule and they deserve shame. So me shaming Zionists is actually pretty pro-Semitic because you're making fun of the absurdity of this whole national political movement. It's completely absurd, and I think anyone can understand that. I don't think it's really that hard to understand. Won't someone please think of the Nazis copying as Jews? Right. It's this exactly, buddy head. It's the same logical, ideological construct of ethnic supremacy. It's just that particular homogenous traits of that ethnic group is different. They're just, superiorizing themselves on a different basis, on a different ethnicity, or a different social group, if you will. The Havara Transfer Agreement, right, the famous agreement between the Nazis and the Zionists to send the Jews to Palestine. It tells you everything you need to know. I always think of that handshake meme where it's Hitler and the Zionists And in the middle, you have scapegoating the Jews. They scapegoat the Jews for different purposes, you know, but they're both scapegoating the Jews. They're both conflating Judaism with some other agenda. So it's ironic, you know, it's ironic. But I'm the Nazi. No, I'm the bad, toxic, harmful, incendiary device in this whole situation. Just igniting the flames. No, it couldn't be the missiles actually blowing up Palestinian children. It's words. Literal pearl-clutching liberal rhetoric, you know? These pearl-clutching liberals, can't stand them. Someone actually tried to say that the reason Bundists opposed the Z Project was because it would be disastrous for Jewish people, implying that that was their only objection to Zionism. Yeah, well, that's, you know, more settler colonial logic. The Palestinians aren't ever mentioned by name. They're never, like, thought of when the ruling class is deciding what they're going to do to the land, you know? Remember, in the Balfour Declaration, they're famously referred to by what they weren't. They were just the non-Jewish communities. The word Palestinian or Palestinians doesn't appear in the Balfour Declaration, and that's a metaphor for how that, you know, the policy planners in the British government and the Zionist leaders in the Zionist movement did not give a shit about who the was living there, you know, and what their rights were. Everything is a sanitization of that, and the UN is criminal in that regard because they sanitized, normalized the occupation, and made it worse and gave Israel the green light to keep going, you know, and that was always the plan, was like the partition plan was not enough. They needed to, it was like a foot in the door, that was it. They knew they had to keep working away, grinding away, the Palestinians, and indeed that's what they've done over decades, just cantonized the settlements, broken up Palestinian national unity. You know, the Nazi Holocaust was 4 years, something like that. The Palestinian Holocaust is 80 years. It's over a century, actually. It's 100. 1917, you could argue.